Welcome back to CryptosRus. I'm George. We're all George. So, what is going on with Bitcoin? Last night it spiked up suddenly to 29,000, but that's just the beginning. Bitcoin will surge to $73,000 if this happens. Let's talk about that, and let's talk about everything else that's going on in the world today. Let's do this. Welcome, guys. The market bell has just rung. Today, off to a red start, but not for Bitcoin, though. Bitcoin is still the same. It kind of lost that momentum from last night, but we did get a small little spike up to 29,000. But, you know, that just shows you. It just shows you how much enthusiasm there is over Bitcoin right now. Everyone is waiting for it to pop, to pump, to surge, to skyrocket, right? Yes, it's around the corner. But what's going on with macro stuff today? NASDAQ down slightly. We do have more economic data, including one that should not be a surprise that just released today. Mortgage demand falls to the lowest level since 1995 as interest nears 8%. 8%. That's a lot. That's like 4 times higher than, what, a year ago? Maybe a little bit more than a year. I mean, when we were still below 3%, some people have their 30-year mortgage locked at 2.5%, 2.7%. Some of you guys have said it. Right now, we're 3 times higher at 8%. Okay? Obviously, that means there's going to be a slowdown. There's going to be less people buying homes. But interesting enough, due to the low supply, prices of homes are not crashing down. So that's again, saving grace. You know, this recession that we're in, there's a lot of saving graces, I guess. Because if this was a normal recession, we would have felt a lot more pain. Way more pain than what we should be feeling as a country. So I guess that's good. But we will definitely see more weakness, right, due to things like this. And that is why we can't have another rate hike. But we might get one next month. But any more rate hike is just going to make things like this worse, including mortgage demand. Also treasuries, making treasuries worse. Bank of America reported that they have 131, well, let's just round up, 132 billion in unrealized losses on securities. Those long-term U.S. treasuries, the 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, they can't sell them. 132 billion unrealized losses, and it will only get worse, especially with another rate hike. This is the very reason why a lot of regional banks went under earlier this year, because they put all their money into treasuries that they could no longer sell, because if they did, they would still owe money. No, I take that back. They wouldn't owe money, but they would have got less than what they paid. So yeah, I mean, the big banks can withstand it because they have more liquidity, but the smaller regional banks, you got to figure every single one out there holds an enormous amount of long-term securities that are in the red right now. They cannot sell them. If they do have some kind of financial problems, they're out of liquidity, they're going under. Now, I don't know. I think I know the answer, but I don't know for certain that the Fed has been loaning out money to these banks. That's why the Fed's balance sheet, Fed has its own balance sheet, has been in a negative 100+ billion for the last year. So I believe the Fed itself is loaning out money to these banks to make sure that they don't collapse, because if we see more bank failures, that's going to bring a lot more fear to the market. Okay, so yeah, but again, you know, what does this lead to, right? It leads to Bitcoin. I mean, gold is starting to go up again. I know a lot of you guys love gold. People hate it when I start bashing gold, but gold is finally going up again. Woohoo, plus 1%. Gold still has not broken out And I don't believe it ever will. But that's why, it's okay. That's why we have Bitcoin, right? That's why we have Bitcoin. Yesterday, like I said, last night, those of you guys that were up, you noticed that Bitcoin jumped up to 29,000 all of a sudden right here. Boom, right? Just went up. Now we're back to a lower level. But I was wondering, hey, what was going on last night, right? Maybe some whale decided to buy in anticipation that a Bitcoin ETF is going to be coming right around the corner, right? So that is what everyone is waiting for right now. It's getting hot. This is the hot topic. Everyone wants to talk about Bitcoin spot ETFs. When is the approval and how high will Bitcoin go? Right? Well, here's another prediction. Bitcoin can rise or surge up to $73,000 if ETFs are approved. And that could be coming right around the corner. The next application is ARKs, which is, I believe, next month. This month, everything's have been delayed. Next month will be ARKs, and we will see. We will see. There will be another, right? Another anticipation. And Grayscales. Let's not forget Grayscale's conversion. I don't hear enough people talk about Grayscale's trust conversion to spot Bitcoin ETF. There's basically there's no stopping it. I think they have free rein to do so. I mean, if the SEC didn't want them to do it, they would appeal, but they didn't because there's nothing else they could do. They can't appeal when they have no excuses left. So, that could also come anytime. It could come even before ARK invests their application. So, again, around the corner. We're kind of waiting. One day, we're going to wake up and hopefully Cointelegraph reports the right news saying, Grayscale's trust has now been converted to Bitcoin ETF, or the very first Bitcoin ETF has been approved, right? And we will see that pump to 30,000 and beyond, right? And it may just keep going all the way to $73,000 to a new high even before the halving event. And then imagine when we get to the halving event, what's going to happen afterwards, right? Man, we're like just right there. We're so close, so close. Definitely a time not to be giving up and not to be fearful. And, here's the other thing that will help drive Bitcoin up to 73,000 and beyond. There are still a ton of people shorting. As of, I guess, today, if you're looking at the longs and shorts, there are actually more people shorting Bitcoin. 50.69% people are shorting versus going long. People are just waiting to get wrecked. That's what's happening right now, okay? These traders, using their leverage, think they can outsmart the market. That's usually when they lose everything or lose enormous amount of crypto. You can't outsmart the market. You could look at charts and look at lines and look at moving averages and indicator and signals all day long. We get another news about spot Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin will be driven higher and all these shorts are going to be liquidated and wrecked, right? You can't predict external factors. You can't predict when a war breaks out. You can't predict when a spot Bitcoin ETF is going to get approved. You can't predict a lot of things, macro stuff and micro stuff that can drive markets up and down, right? This is just going to end badly, but for us that are long-term holders, it's good because this will have a positive effect when they get liquidated. They get liquidated, we're going to get a short squeeze. It's going to cause us to go even higher. It's more like, ammunition for us bulls, right? It's like throwing a jug of, gasoline on the campfire. It causes an immediate explosion, right? That is what is going to happen. All right. Now, looking at a longer term chart from our high to mid to low, right? And right now we're seeing RSI breakout and the halving event getting closer and closer and closer to that halving event. Are we going to skyrocket beforehand, right? Well, according to this Mags person, we will probably stay around 31,000 all the way up until March, April, May timeframe, then shoot up when the halving's here and then go back to previous high levels, right? That very well may be the case. And there's nothing wrong with that if we move in that order. But I think he's forgetting about spot Bitcoin ETFs. We get one approval, we will be on our way. One approval means 10 approvals, means hundreds of billions flowing in, means we will start skyrocketing, right? 73,000 at halving event. So you can imagine 73,000 is off this chart right now. So if we get approvals and we really start skyrocketing all the way up to 73,000 by the halving event, well, we're going to be looking at a very, very different picture here after the halving event. So here's another one. Fractal pattern right now versus 2016, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but yeah, I got into Bitcoin tail end in 2013. Okay, when Bitcoin first hit 1,000, I got into mining, and I was mining Litecoin at that time, right? And Litecoin hit like $40 for the first time. And I was chugging away with my miners, and then I saw everything go down and down and down and down and down. I sold my Litecoin around between $4 and $8 at that point, okay? So I was pretty early with Litecoin, and I converted a lot of that to Bitcoin. But back then, I didn't know how to spend it, so I was just spending it left and right. I was stupid because I didn't know what Bitcoin was really about, right? But yeah, I was accumulating Bitcoin around that time, sub 1,000. But I think a lot of you guys didn't know, but back in 2015, the low of Bitcoin was $116 or $160. $160. Okay, $160. That was in 2015. 2015 seems like it was just yesterday. 2015 was not that long ago. Okay, you could have bought Bitcoin at $160 in 2015. Just think about that. But yeah, 2015, then 2016 rolled around, 2017 rolled around. That's when I re-entered Bitcoin right around $1,000, right? And away we went. So if you think right now is bad, that we hit 15,000, right? And now we're hovering at 28,000 and it sucks because we came off from a 69,000 high. Well, just know that previous cycles sucked a lot more, okay? When Bitcoin was at $160, people were calling for its death, right? The tulip bubble. The bubble had popped. It's going back to zero, okay? It was much, much, much worse. And I was one of those people. I thought, hey, if this is going to go down this much, it's going to go down to zero. This is the tail end. But I didn't understand back then, right? And the same thing, 2017, it went up to 20,000. Where did it fall to? 3,000. And people like Tone Vase calling for the hyperwave, going down to 1,000 or below, scaring everyone into thinking Bitcoin was going to die. No, it didn't. And it continued back up from 3,000 to 69,000. It will happen this cycle too. People call this death at 15,000. You got people saying it's going to fall below 10. It's going to go back to 8,000 or some ridiculous number. Some people, I even heard people say it's going to go down to 3,000 again. No, it's not. So, but yeah, it looks very similar to a previous bottom. All right. Here's another fractal pattern comparing our current movement to that 2020 time. Yeah, we're in this descending channel. and we're, you know, pressed against it. And when we move above, right, good things will happen. Good. Good. And something else that's also helping drive Bitcoin upwards, exchange balances, okay? More and more people are buying and holding Bitcoin on their own hardware wallet, self-custody wallet, mobile wallet, browser wallet, whatever it may be. More and more people are taking out of the exchanges, and that's good. That is what this is showing. Well, shoot, I don't want to click on that. Let's see. Okay, it's too smart for me to just open. But you guys could see the blue. Okay, basically, you could see that line. Since 2021, we've been going down and down and down and down and down. We're back to 2017 levels. And the way we are going right now, it's going to go way lower. So even the supply on exchanges is dropping dramatically. The overall supply is dropping because of the long-term holders accumulation. More than 95% of Bitcoin has not moved within the last month. And just looking at long-term holders, I believe the cutoff is 1 year. We're at over 76%. So vast majority of Bitcoin is being held and not being traded. So do you have any wonder why it's so strong? Especially versus the alts. Because no one wants to trade it. No one wants to get rid of it right now. Why would you do so? Right? No one is looking to get rid of Bitcoin right now. And if you are, then you're misinformed. That you don't really understand. You do need to understand in order to hodl and accumulate long term. And that's how you win with the game of Bitcoin. I just told you, back in 2015, you could have bought Bitcoin for $160, right? Of course, hindsight is 2020. How many of you guys would not have loved to gone all in at $160, right? Or even $3,000. $3,000 hit in 2018. $3,000, $3,800 hit in 2020. That was just 3 years ago. How many of you guys would have liked to gone all in at 4,000 Bitcoin, right? It's always going to be the case. There will always be people that tell you it's going to go lower, and it may go lower. But Bitcoin is a long-term game. Don't try to outsmart the markets, because when you do, you will get wrecked. Ignore the FUD, ignore everything. Basically, just DCA long-term with Bitcoin. That's the winning recipe. That's really the strategy, but no one really wants to hear that. People just want to trade and try to time top and bottoms. No one really wants to hold it long-term, but realizing just holding for 5 years will make you substantial wealth. Just by holding 5 years, it's not even that long. If you stretch it out to 10 years, you're making life-changing wealth with Bitcoin. If you held Bitcoin for 10 years, going back to 2013, you know, you're a billionaire already. So think about that. Anyways, okay, moving on. What else is there? Some of you guys love Reddit. I can't stand Reddit, and they just like shot themselves in the foot. So they're winding down their blockchain-based reward service. I guess it's called Moon. I didn't know what it was called, but they're just voluntarily closing it down because they say it's I don't know, there's scalability issues. I don't get that, but obviously that's what happened afterwards. It fell 90%, and people are furious about this. Not that it was doing good, but this, you know, it's gonna get worse. Anyways, I don't know why people were, I don't know how it worked. I don't know, like, you get rewarded for it, for making comments or something, I'm assuming. But it looks bad. It looks really, really bad. And people are really, really pissed off. Hopefully none of you guys are holding that because you just lost like 90% overnight. All right. that's pretty much it. Let's see. Let's do some Q&A here today. Nasdaq not doing good. Morgan Stanley's wealth management results disappoint. You know, all you have to do is buy and hold and accumulate Bitcoin. That's how you grow your wealth. That's really it. If you're older and you can't hold for much longer, but that doesn't even make sense. Even if you're older, you could hold Bitcoin for another 5 years or 10 years. But let's say you're really old and you want to just protect your wealth, or you have an enormous amount of wealth, right? Then maybe wealth management works, okay? Because they're protecting your wealth. They're not really building your wealth. That's the problem. I've talked to a wealth manager before. I talked to a couple. And what do they want? They want you to give them all of your money, and they will invest it in their funds or other banks' funds. That's what they want. They want to treat you as you are a dummy, right? Like you can't say anything. Basically, give us your money and we'll manage it for you, and we'll take a cut, a 1% cut to do so, right? And that 1% adds up to a lot over time. But rather than give someone else your money, all you have to do is buy Bitcoin, or if you want to stay with equities, just buy the big 4 tech companies out there. It will outperform anything that they will do for you. Seriously, it will outperform what they do by a long shot. So I have a big thing against wealth management companies. Unless you're just really clueless and you have like $100 million or whatever, you want them to like safeguard it, fine. I get it. But if you're trying to build massive wealth while you're still young and able to do so, putting in a wealth management company is like the worst thing you could do, in my opinion. All right, let's do the Q&A. All right, I'm scrolling up here. Let's see if I missed anything. WAG, still planning on having WAG July next year. WAG 2024. May not be in Nashville. I talked to someone, one of the organizers of the Bitcoin conference. He's suggesting don't do it in Nashville, do it in Miami, or do it, in Chicago, do it somewhere else. So my plans may have shifted a little bit. I would love to have it in Chicago, but I want to piggyback off of some other major conference. So I don't know. JC, George, FYI, lenders are buying down rates for buyers because the rates are so high, I have heard that too. That's a good point, because banks rather have some business than no business at all, right? So, yeah. Red Ruble says, someone hacked my Mexi account today. Luckily, I had 2FA activated. Good. Everyone should use 2FA for everything. That's the one thing they can't hack unless they physically could see your phone with the 2FA code, right? So whatever you're involved with, use 2FA. Even email, if you run your own email account or hosting or whatever, make sure you use 2FA. Use 2FA with everything. The Cool Rich says 2015 being 9 years ago is actually crazy. I remember I was in middle school. Wow, you're young. But congratulations. It's awesome that you're you're in your 20s and you're involved, you know, most 20-year-olds are not. You know, 20-year-olds usually, you know, they're not really focused on building life-changing wealth because they're still, you know, out finding their careers or, you know, in the dating scene or whatever, or still partying. But good for you. Dave Rodriguez, big super chat, thank you. Do you think Doge will hit over $1 in 2024? Do I think Doge will hit over $1 in 2024? No, I do not think so. Maybe in 2025, but not 2024. Unless Elon goes all out and makes it like the craziest, brings the craziest utility to Doge. No, I don't think it's going to go to $1 in 2024. That's like a 20x from here. So, no. But it could happen in 2025. I'll just say this. There's a possibility it could happen in 2025. Houston, shout out to you, my friend George. Shout out to you. Man, there's a lot of people. Morrow Crawford. Rand just called you out saying you're copying him, news stories, and creating a new Plus channel. I have the proof that I came up with a Plus channel way before he decided to do it. He can say all he wants. I know that. How am I copying him? Here's the thing. I could go on and on and on and on about all the things that I have started doing and then others copied. Okay. These FOMC press conferences? Who started doing them first? Take a wild guess. In the crypto space, me. I was the only one covering them because I thought it was relevant to talk about macro stuff. Okay? Now who does it? Rand does. After I started doing it. He used to have all this banter with Fred and everyone else. Okay? I was always the one that stuck to my news, stuck to my on-chain metrics and charts, right? Kept it into a shorter show. Guess who started copying that? Rand. Now his shows are short. He doesn't banter with people. So, who's copying who here? He consistently goes on air and says, yeah, subscribe. Let's beat CryptosRus. His crew all tell me that they're studying my analytics. They're studying how I'm creating my thumbnails, how I get my topics. Many times they steal my topic from night and they use it as their morning topic because they can't think of anything. Who's copying who? Seriously. Yeah. The reason why, I'll tell you guys, the reason why I stopped going to show before, because him and his sidekick, Fred, well, I don't know if he's still there, they would constantly, every week, ask me to go on to bring more, to bring more status to their show. Like, literally every week. Week over week over week over week over week. And I'm like, okay, no, enough is enough. That's why I had stopped. So it's laughable that Rand says I'm copying him when he has copied every one of my moves. Everyone. So, yeah. Scott, Gladius, I appreciate that. Now, I'm not trying to cause beef with Rand, but it's just really laughable that he says I'm copying him when he has copied me for the last 2 years, trying to figure out what my recipe is and how I have such loyal viewers like you guys that keep coming in and keep staying with me. And he's been trying to figure that out. He can't. So you know what he has done? He has hired more hosts to try to make up the numbers, to try to keep up with me. How many hosts does he have on his main channel? It's like 4, 5 guys pumping random content just to try to equal my numbers. You know? So, you know, that's I'm just venting here. I'm one guy competing with a channel with like 5 guest hosts or 5 hosts. Lazaro, your nickname should be Green Lantern. Keep shining a light to the world. I appreciate that. Thank you. GT says, I couldn't do your job having to socialize with everyone. I like to stay with it myself. You just described me. You know, for many years, all the way up until this year, I was like that. I didn't want to socialize with other influencers. I didn't really want to socialize with anyone in the industry. I stayed to myself. I'm an introvert. I don't like new things, new environments, new things, new situations. But then something clicked after I met Brian. I'm like, I need to. I've been missing out. I've been missing out on so much. Okay? Meeting good people, good connections, right? Utilizing my influence for good. And that's when I force myself. Sometimes you just have to force yourself to do it, even if you don't want to. Even if it's the most uncomfortable thing in the world for you. You know, you have to realize that, well, if you realize that you are your own worst enemy and you are holding yourself back, that's when you just have to force yourself to do it. And in most cases, we are our own worst enemy. We are the ones holding us back. Really, if you think about it, no one's holding us back but ourselves, right? So that's why you have to, like, force yourself. And that's what I did. And I'm glad I did it because this year things have changed drastically for me, right? And I'm going to continue to do it. David, thank you. Seriously, that's exactly what I did. You know, I forced myself to get out there. Every one of us, gives reasons why we should not do something, right? Like with anything, with relationships, with money, with family, with crypto, with investing, everything. You know, we are the ones that hold us back. No one else is. People can say shit all they want, but ultimately we make the decisions, right? We have to make a decision to break out of our mold and improve. I mean, some people never make that decision. Some people they're satisfied with what they have, and that's it. Some people are too scared, so they're not satisfied with what they have, but they still stick with what they have, right? But you just got to break out something. A good example of this is getting a new job. A really good example of this is getting a new job. So many people hate their jobs. Okay, when my wife was in a workforce, all of her friends hated their jobs. And same thing, when I was in the workforce, everyone I knew hated the job, right? And it was really bad sometimes. But you know what? People stay with their jobs because they're lazy to find a new one, or they're scared of finding a new job because they're used to their job. No matter how shitty it is, it's something that they're used to. They're in a comfort zone. Going to a new job could be scary. They don't know if it's worse, the new environment, the new coworkers, the new boss. So they psych themselves out into staying in a very crappy environment, and they never leave, right? So that's a clear example, right? You are your own worst enemy. You are locking yourself into a bad situation, and you refuse to change. And I can't tell you how many people, you guys probably know, you guys tell me, right? Do you love your job or do you hate it? And if you hate it, why do you not leave, right? Think about all the reasons you give yourself why you're not leaving. And then think about, are they valid, or you're just holding yourself back because you're afraid? You don't want to lose that comfort zone, right? No matter how bad it is. So, that's a clear example of that. Same thing, people that want to be entrepreneurs, they no longer want to work for someone. It's scary to become entrepreneur. You're not guaranteed a paycheck anymore, right? People want that stability of having insurance and getting a solid paycheck, even though it's crappy, versus going and doing something on your own that you have no experience with, but you really want to. A new idea or new restaurant or new bakery or new dog sitting business, whatever it may be, right? Most people don't become entrepreneurs because of that also. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. I'll leave this up. I'm surprised more people aren't buying BTC. It's pretty obvious what is going on. It's like free money. Daniel, I just made this example earlier about 2015, Bitcoin falling to $160. Had you bought, how much higher would your portfolio be today, right? You do the math. That's how it is with Bitcoin. It's a long-term game. You just DCA and accumulate while things are low. And then you wait. You wait for the gains to come to you. Macro crypto, I appreciate that, man. 2019, it's been long 4 years, but I'm glad you're here. Do you think it'll be World War III soon? No, I don't think so. I don't. AMG, why do you keep saying the same thing? No, I don't. I don't know who she is, and I don't know why you keep trying to repeat it. I don't comment on people I don't know, especially the lower channels that no one watches. So if I don't know them, most likely they're not that big. So I don't know, AMG. Can I talk about FTX? What do you want to hear about FTX? I just talked about last night. SBF is going to go away for a long time, probably over 100 years. So I don't know what else you want to know. Lee Marshall says, I'm self-employed. Best thing I ever did, but can be stressful. Yes. People don't realize being an entrepreneur, you actually work more, but it's satisfying. And the more you work, the more you gain from that. Unlike a normal job, the more you work, the more work you're given. You know, so being an entrepreneur definitely is worth it, right? But I'm not saying everyone succeeds. A lot of people fail, but that's part of life. If you fail, you get knocked down, you get back up, and you continue forward. Crypto zombie always shilling Big Ed. Big Ed's been trying to like make moves with everyone. It's funny, like I know all these big influencers, right, and how they make their money, and they all make it in different ways. Some make it like through affiliate referrals, and they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars per month from that. Some are just doing sponsorships and making hundreds of thousands of dollars from that. And what else is there? And some are selling their private courses and making hundreds of thousands of dollars from that. So some of these guys, they're insanely wealthy right now, loading it up basically through different means. I should actually, my Sunday night video, my next Sunday night video, I should talk about that. Will says, I have a question. What cold wallet do you recommend for new users like myself? I would start with a Trust wallet. MetaMask is a browser-based, but it also has an app. But MetaMask, also Aurochs. Aurochs is a smaller company, but their wallet's great. But if you want like a mobile wallet, it's not a true cold wallet. It's like a hot wallet, but it's a really good one. You start with Trust wallet. Then look at some of the mobile ones. The browser ones, I'm sorry. And then if you really wanted a pure cold wallet, there's several options, but Ledger and Treasure, those are the biggest. All right, guys. Let's conclude. Oh, by the way, this Q&A that I'm doing, right, with you guys that I have been doing for years? Guess who copied me on that too? Yeah. I set so many trends with this show that now other people consistently have copied and now implemented and have, and have improved their channels with, I guess, right? Like I kind of said it all. The reason why my channel even blew up was because F2 Pool, because I started looking at on-chain metrics. Back then, no one looked at it, right? So, even that, on-chain metrics was what I started too. So it's just laughable. It's laughable that Rand would try to call me out and saying I'm copying him when he has literally spent the last 2 years, 3 years, since 2017, copying my formula. I don't even watch his shit. I don't watch anyone's thing. That's the thing. That's what people don't realize. People think I look at other people's videos. I don't. I don't even know what they do. My team watches them. I don't watch any of Rand's stuff. I don't watch any Ben stuff, Altcoin Daily stuff, zombie stuff, any of these guys. I don't watch any of their content. I don't need to. I already know the truth. Bitcoin's going to go higher, and I'm presenting it to you guys. I don't watch any of this stuff, but I know they all copy me. They all, one way or another, copies me and what I'm doing and what my recipe is So I'll just leave it at that. All right, guys. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Take care. Bye-bye.